coming. I was thinking that one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was six big pieces of every student's college application, and how by being here, our students each of our students' aspects are going to look different than they would if they were somewhere else. Thank you. Especially, Mr. Craner mentioned this already, but especially after the pandemic, admissions have changed a lot, and most schools, especially selective schools, are moving towards a holistic admissions model. Which I want to talk about briefly. You can see this behind me, but it's an admission strategy that assesses an applicant's unique experiences alongside traditional measures of academic achievement, such as grades and test scores. Most selective colleges and universities are moving towards a holistic admissions. Grades and test scores matter, but the schools are increasingly interested in getting to know applicants as human beings and citizens in the larger world outside of their classroom. And this is a really great move for USL students, because we've been doing this way before the pandemic started, and we're still doing it now. So we're really well primed, I think, to be competitive at schools with a holistic admissions model. I want to talk about quantitative and qualitative aspects of every application, because I personally feel like our students are succeeding in both of these realms. I don't know that I'm going to tell you things that you don't necessarily already know, but I just wanted to say it anyways. The transcript is probably the most important aspect of most students' applications. It's not just about the grades, but it's also about the courses that the students are choosing to take. Here, all of our students in the high school are in the hardest classes they could be in, which all colleges will note. And more importantly, I think, or at least equally important as that, is our super unique dual enrollment program. So because they don't just have like a cookie cutter AP list, they have like actual college classes taken at an actual college campus. Our kids' transcripts look a lot different than other smart kids across America. They look smarter because they are. I wanted to mention quickly that selective colleges do largely focus on academic courses, math, science, English, foreign language, and history. We're encouraging all of our students to stay in these classes all 4 years, including the languages. That alone are the USL emphasis on foreign language. Its mere existence sets kids apart from other kids. And I think we know this, we don't really have any seniors here, but Ben, your senior year grades and classes are really important. We don't stop after our junior year, especially at tricky schools. They will pay attention to what you have chosen to do with your senior year. In terms of standardized tests, they don't matter as much as they used to, which is great. As of right now, there are more than 1,800 test optional schools. There's this great website that I can share with you that keeps a running and daily updated list of those schools. That said, we practice testing often here, so by the time our students are taking either the SAT or ACT in their sophomore, junior, and senior years, they're familiar with the test. They've done the PSAT since the 6th grade. Is that accurate? Since the 7th grade. And it's not as scary to them. It's not as mythical to them. And they have a tendency to do better. One area in which I feel like we do very well is the letters of recommendation. I think it's assumed across the board that the most impactful letters come from teachers who, one, have known students longer than a semester, and two, who get to know their students outside of the classroom. And all of our high school students have known their teachers, I mean, if they've been here for a minimum of 4 years. When I write Bennett's letter, I will have known him for 7 years. And that's like weird. But also awesome. That's not going to be normal. That's not normal, right? So we have that going for us, as well as the counselor letters, which Mr. Craner writes, and he's known a lot of these students, and especially non-academic ways in which no other counselor would have access to in another place. Like, our students aren't writing hot sheets for their teachers or counselors because we don't need to. I know a different side of them than Mr. Jones does and than Mr. Craner does. So because we've gotten to know the students so well here, we're really ready to amp them up, I think. Another area I like a lot are the essays. You can tell I added the exclamation point. That's how you know. Everybody's writing at least one because you have to have a personal statement for the Common App, which is the portal that most students will use to apply to the majority of the colleges that they're going to apply to. But almost all selective schools, if not literally all selective schools, will both have short answer questions and supplemental essay questions. They're important. They're often optional, but not here, they're not. And it's a way that a student can further distinguish themselves and an avenue for the student to express not only their invested interest in a program, but also their knowledge of the school they're applying to. So we spend a lot of time on the essays. This year we have 4 ambitious seniors, and I have met with all of them one-on-one, a minimum of 1 hour a week since like late July, and we're still on the essays. We're still writing the essays. They take a lot of drafts. Kessler is here and wrote 3 versions of her personal statement before I felt like we were ready to revise, let alone be done. We are really well poised to work on these essays though, because I've been teaching these students writing for so long that I know what their voice can be when they work on it. And I know how to help them sound like themselves because I've had the privilege of getting to know them so well. So we're really ready for the essays. The extracurriculars, I think this is an area too that's particularly important for USL students because things that are most important with extracurriculars are the quality of them, the longevity, and the opportunity for leadership. And we have no lack of leadership opportunities here, especially leadership opportunities that create actual impact. If students are interested in doing something here, they can make their own leadership opportunities. And that's not even including the leadership skills that are built into our daily curriculum. So we're really, I think students here, particularly in regards to prolonged leadership experiences, are pretty ready to rock. And the last thing I wanted to mention is our school profile, which is weird, and that's great because it doesn't look like anybody else's. Beyond a student's own accomplishments, our profile sets them further apart because it really details our interest-driven curriculum and is a really easy way for an admissions officer to see how much agency our students have already taken in their education and how prepared they are to continue making their own decisions and taking their own personal ownership of what they're learning and what they're planning to do for their futures. So that I think wraps up the main things I wanted to talk about, which I did fast, but if this is helpful as a resource to anybody, I'm happy to send it to anyone. And I think Ms. Cayeta, our school counselor, is going to talk next.